Welcome to Vetted Shorts, where the most curious corners of the UFO phenomenon are unpacked, dissected, and explored with a skeptical but open-minded lens. Today's case file is dripping with mystery, high strangeness, and just a little bit of cosmic nostalgia. Because we're focusing on one of the most iconic alien archetypes of all time, the Venusians. Yes, you heard that right. The sophisticated angelic visitors allegedly hailing from our next planetary neighbor in the sun's embrace, Venus. Once the darlings of the contactee era, their stories are linked to vintage photographs, motions of cosmic brotherhood, and a man whose name is forever etched into UFO lore, George Adamski. So, is there a kernel of truth in these outlandish tales? Or is this all just space-age fantasy dressed in the glow of atomic era optimism? Stick around as we break down the legend, the players, and the enduring allure of the Nordic-type Venusians. First, let's set the stage. The early 1950s, an era marked by an explosion of interest in the unknown. The Second World War was over, and humanity suddenly possessed the power to destroy itself. But what if, at the same time, the universe sent wise, benevolent visitors? Enter the Venusians. Described as tall, radiant beings with flowing blonde hair, piercing blue eyes, and an aura of tranquility, the Venusians perfectly embodied the so-called Nordic archetype, named because of their resemblance to Scandinavians. But why Venus? And why did so many early UFO experiencers claim peaceful contact with these supposed neighbors from the morning star? To answer that, we have to revisit the extraordinary and controversial tales of George Adamski. Adamski was a Polish-American who lived in California, near the mysterious Mount Palomar. He wasn't just a stargazer, he became, in the early 1950s, the world's most famous self-professed contactee. Adamski published books, gave lectures, and even snapped some of the most iconic and contested UFO photographs in history. He claimed that on November 20th, 1952, while he and some friends were picnicking in the Mojave Desert, a flying saucer landed nearby. Out stepped a figure he'd only ever dreamed of, a serene, flawless humanoid figure, shining with kindness and wisdom. This being revealed himself as Orthon from Venus. Let's slow down for a minute. Venus is, by all modern scientific understanding, an absolute hellscape. Surface temperatures hot enough to melt lead. Atmospheric pressure that would crush a submarine. Clouds thick with sulfuric acid. And yet, in the optimistic climate of the 1950s, Venus remained a plausible candidate for life in the public imagination. The full truth about its deadly conditions wouldn't become common knowledge until the Mariner 2 probe's data in 1962. For Adamski and his contemporaries, Venus symbolized exotic, intelligent life just beyond humanity's reach, a cosmic springboard for stories of hope, warning, and wonder. What did Adamski's Orthon look like? Imagine a being over 6 feet tall, with flowing golden hair, bronze skin, and features so classically handsome that Adamski's illustrations could have doubled as an ad for Swedish shampoo. Orthon never spoke out loud. Instead, communication was telepathic, a hallmark of peaceful and enlightened alien intelligence, according to contactees of the era. But it wasn't just about appearances. According to Adamski, Orthon and his companions had a message, one rooted in cosmic brotherhood. They warned humanity of the dangers of war, especially nuclear weapons, and urged us to seek unity instead of division. The Venusians were watchers and protectors, visiting Earth not to conquer, but to uplift and guide. It's easy to see why the allure of the Venusians spread beyond Adamski. In an era of atomic dread, who wouldn't want to believe in wise, benevolent galactic neighbors? The idea sparked a contactee movement, not abductees, not silent observers, but people chosen to deliver uplifting messages from advanced civilizations. So what do the skeptics say? Even during Adamski's lifetime, his claims were met with a hurricane of doubt. Scientists pointed to Venus's inhospitable conditions, while critics scrutinized Adamski's photographs and testimony for inconsistencies. And the images, oh, those images. Some analyzed Adamski's famous saucer photos and concluded they were nothing more than upside-down chicken brooders or the tops of patio lamps. The Venusian footprints left by Orthon? Largely dismissed as hoaxes, but despite the skepticism, something deeper was at play. The Venusians, regardless of their literal truth, tapped into timeless human hopes. Not only were they aspirational versions of ourselves, but they also symbolized our longing for cosmic reassurance. In the contactee era, the Nordic alien look, the tall, blonde, benevolent figure, became an enduring template. Variants of this image still surface in UFO lore to this day, often with new homeworlds attached, from Pleiades to Arcturus. But it all started, as far as modern pop culture is concerned, with the Venusians. One twist you might find intriguing: not all Nordics are friendly in later stories. While Adamski's Venusians represent benevolent mentors, newer cases sometimes feature Nordic aliens with ambiguous or even sinister agendas. But for today, let's stay focused on the archetypal Venusians, those original, peace-preaching, cosmic Scandinavians. Let's talk about their reported abilities. Adamski and those who followed in his footsteps claimed that Venusians could communicate telepathically, not just among themselves, but with humans receptive enough to pick up their thoughts. They could heal, emit calming energies, and apparently cross vast distances in their saucers with ease. Their craft were described as luminous, silent, and so advanced that they seemed to defy gravity. One could argue that these attributes are less a blueprint of alien technology and more a reflection of 1950s dreams, polished, chrome-plated, and untouched by pollution or war. Let's examine the core messages delivered by Adamski's Venusians. They didn't come to trade technology or take biological samples, as in later reports. Instead, their mission was almost pastoral. They urged humans to outgrow their violent impulses, abandon nuclear armament, and join a galactic brotherhood that transcended all borders. For Adamski's followers, these encounters weren't traumatic. They were transformative. Imagine being contacted by angelic beings, riding stylish saucers, who offer cosmic wisdom rather than cold experimentation. It's not hard to see the appeal, or why so many contactees quickly followed suit, claiming similar experiences with benevolent Venusians. But is there a darker undercurrent here? Some have argued that the Venusian narrative wasn't just about hope, but about projecting familiar ideals onto the unknown. The Nordic look, tall, beautiful, impeccably poised, mirrored Western standards of perfection. Were the Venusians simply cosmic reflections of ourselves, rendered in the guise of an idealized future? It's a troubling but fascinating question. Did we create the Venusians out of our own longing for guidance and reassurance, decking them out in gleaming suits and Swedish features? Or did some unknown intelligence actually make contact, choosing a form most likely to communicate with us? To add spice, later, UFO lore sometimes explored the idea that the claimed origins of the Venusians were intentional misdirection. Some theorized that the entities claimed a local home, Venus, because it would be more believable to the 1950s public rather than admitting to truly interstellar origins. Once science closed the door on Venus as a home for life, these beings' homeworlds migrated further out, Pleiades, Andromeda, Sirius, and beyond. So, what about the evidence? After Adamski, numerous contactees spun their own Venusian tales, many with eerily similar descriptions. Some showed off mysterious symbols, odd artifacts, or supposed space language given to them by their cosmic friends. None stood up to sustained scientific scrutiny. It's hard to ignore the influence Adamski and the Venusians had on pop culture. Movies, comics, and later TV shows frequently borrowed from the Nordic Venusian template, the peaceful, mysterious visitor from the stars. But the real twist is how this archetype persists, even today. In modern UFO encounters, witnesses still occasionally report encounters with tall, fair-haired humanoids, now said to hail from the Pleiades or beyond. The transition from Venusian to Pleiadian didn't dim their message. If anything, it broadened their appeal to a new generation, hungry for cosmic connection. What about those who claim personal encounters today? Many continue to report life-changing meetings with entities who seem just a little too perfect, sharing New Age messages about unity, ecology, and enlightenment. Much like Adamski's Venusians, these beings are rarely depicted as threatening. Instead, they're cosmic life coaches. But here's another wrinkle. Some UFO researchers today argue that the entire Nordic phenomenon is part of a larger stranger package. Rather than separating Nordics from more alarming entities, like the infamous Greys, they see both as facets of the same mysterious presence, perhaps changing forms to suit changing times and beliefs. With time, the narrative around Adamski and the Venusians has cooled. Mainstream ufology, especially after the advent of abduction-focused narratives in the 1960s and 70s, tends to view Adamski's stories as quaint but outdated. And yet, in the rich, imaginative world of UFO literature, the Venusians never truly faded away. There's even a retro revival happening now. New documentaries, podcasts, and social media profiles are rediscovering Adamski's era, finding in the original Venusian legends a sense of wonder that many feel is missing from the scarier, more clinical UFO stories of today. So what are we left with? On the one hand, we have zero actual evidence that Venusians ever set foot on Earth. On the other, we have a cultural legacy, a belief system shaped as much by yearning for guidance as by any evidence. And maybe, just maybe, there's a lesson to be learned. The Venusians, with their undeniable charm, enduring message of unity, and unshakable optimism, remind us that sometimes the UFO mystery is as much about what's inside us as what might be out there. Are the Venusians real? Were Orthon and his kin just the hopeful creations of atomic-age dreamers? Or is there a deeper, stranger truth that continues to shift and shimmer, just out of reach? That's the enduring magic of the UFO mystery, and why, even though science may never find civilization on Venus, the legend of the Venusians endures. Before we close the file on today's cosmic case, here are some quick facts to add some context and intrigue. George Adamski went on to claim multiple meetings with beings from not just Venus, but Mars and Saturn as well. The laughter and the fascination over Adamski's saucer photos continues to this day. They are among the most reproduced UFO images ever. Some modern contactee groups still invoke the Venusians as spiritual guides, meditating for alien contact and channeling supposed messages from Venus. As we wrap up this dossier on the Venusians, let's remember, in the vast tapestry of alien legends, some stories linger not because they're possible, but because, on some level, we want them to be. Now, we want to hear from you. Are you fascinated by the Venusian phenomenon? Do you think they're space-age wishful thinking? Or is there more to the story than meets the eye? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think the peaceful, Nordic-like Venusians could be real? Or are they just a reflection of our hopes and fears? And while you're typing away, let us know what other alien dossiers you'd like us to open here on Vetted Shorts. Maybe the mysterious Pleiadians, the troublesome Greys, or even the sinister MIB? Subscribe, hit that notification bell, and help us decide what unexplained story to pursue next. Until then, keep watching the skies, because in the world of Vetted Shorts, the next mystery might just land on your doorstep. Thanks for joining us today on Vetted Shorts. Until next time, stay curious, stay skeptical, and keep looking up. Put in and on.